So I wanted to provide this context because it's, I just want to explain the networks I'm involved in, both academic networks and the international networks, and the potential reach of working with STEAM practice in the transnational education sector. So I'm a Senior Fellow of the Higher Education Academy. I'm a Fellow of the Royal Society of the Arts. I did a lot of work with them in Hong Kong through teaching in the classroom with colleagues both at BCU and over in Hong Kong. Excellent opportunities. Member of the Association of Commonwealth Universities, as our university is, and a CEDA mentor and part of communities, international communities of practice. So this is about the impact of, or the potential impact of STEAM on transnational education and the work that we could potentially do with our transnational education partners. So if we look at those of you who, and I'm sure most of you do, the UUKI Insight talks about transnational education, the definition of it, and the way in which we, as an institute and UK institutes, present our curriculum at our international partner institutes. And we deal with institutes in Hong Kong, Thailand. We've been working in Hong Kong for over 20 years, Thailand 15 years plus. I know I've got colleagues in the room who've taught there as well. And looking at different models, modes, dual programs, fly-in faculty, which we've been doing in Hong Kong and Thailand for a number of years, mixed models, traditionally referred to as blended learning. So I wanted to talk about the alignment between the with transnational education and the STEAM principles. So it's looking at sort of cultural knowledge exchange through creative modes and models, opportunities to be co-creators, that's as students and as academics. I liked Seamus's presentation on Tuesday, I think, when he showed us some stills and he was showing us examples, and I really love the idea of the fact that you've got the generation sort of integration, and that happens in the classroom and working with our colleagues, as well as the specialist opportunities. I should say I come from a multidisciplinary design background, and it was really lovely to see the presentation earlier about the definition between, you know, sort of multidisciplinary, working through interdisciplinary, and then transdisciplinary. So looking at T&E alignment with STEAM principles, so opportunities to explore digital accessibility and lifelong learning. We've had a lot of that happen during COVID. It set many challenges for academics, especially working with our T&E partners around the world, but it provided fantastic opportunities. And opportunities to encourage now transdisciplinary work, both with internal and external stakeholders. So I first met the British Council Hong Kong about 3 years ago when I was over in Hong Kong for a reaccreditation, and I was invited to the offices. We had a few problems in 2019 with the geopolitical situation with our flying faculty, and luckily we were there that year, and I met with the then lady who was responsible for the programs, and one of the programs was the inaugural festival that happened in 2019, so we missed it by months. This opportunity, I continued the discussion with her. So Susie is now the director of the Hong Kong British Council, and this was they approached us and asked us if we wanted to be involved. So it was an opportunity to look at connecting in a virtual space. It was a hybrid event, sadly, because of the restrictions with border controls. And it was an opportunity to celebrate connections and inclusion across communities with no boundaries. When we look at transnational education, we believe there are no boundaries. There were 4 different themes within the conference, the international conference. The theme that the project that we worked on, there were 3 specific events that we worked on, and the theme for our event was a space for knowledge exchange, debate and interactions. So it was very important as part of the actual conference to look at the diversity and inclusion agenda and the equality agenda, and it was an opportunity to offer creative solutions to common challenges. The category that we were in, there were lots of educators, there were art performances and opportunities for the different subject areas to work across. So we were actually in this category, the impact of STEAM on transnational education, and it was a series of workshops and talks. There are hyperlinks in this, so I don't know whether this is going to be shared later, but it was an opportunity to look at the impact of STEAM, STEAM knowledge, good things come to those who collaborate. I think that's something that STEAM talks about here. The future of living and how to create a collaborative, smarter city. So that was a Lego demonstration. My colleague Vahid, Dr. Vahid, who's presenting in the other room, he was excellent. His team from CB were participating in that particular event. And then there was a fantastic event, my colleague Nick Irvin, who's involved with the opportunity this afternoon, talking about a celebration of transnational education, partnership working, knowledge exchange, cultural diversity, and international language. And it was just very, very exciting. So the first event, as I say, was an event that was an hour-long event, and it was an opportunity to invite senior colleagues, and these are not just yet. So to learn more about, it was an opportunity for us to extend the reach, the global reach. So whilst the event was organised by Hong Kong British Council, there were lots of people in the Southeast Asia region and beyond attending both virtually and in person because of the hybrid nature. Okay. So the participants, sadly, some of these have moved on, but we had Professor Colin Gale, who was an excellent chap, academic director of International. Clayton Shaw, many of you, I assume, know Clayton. He provided a fantastic opportunity. Alison talked about STEAM pedagogy. She was our PBC and Executive Dean for our Faculty of Arts, Design and Media, and it was wonderful to have the PBC from Computer Engineering and the Built Environment. And I liked her presentation because she talked about putting STEM into STEAM and the fact that in CB they use A mentors, and I think that's really important that that actually happens. And our very important participant, our CEO, Professor Rosen Lee, who's from the Continuous Professional Education Centre. We've been running multiple courses there in CB. We've just introduced 3 courses for the Faculty of Arts, Design and Media, and we also have courses in health. So there's lots of opportunities to look at creative course development for the STEAM agenda. So just a snapshot of some of the images. You all know this place. It's an amazing, amazing space. Very lucky to be here. The second event, as I say, was the Computer Engineering and Built Environment event, the future of living and how to create collaborative, smarter cities. And I like the fact they talked about how I know our colleagues, so Nick has used sort of Lego play, a really fantastic opportunity to work, and you can apply that to anything. Smart cities, you can talk about different disciplines. And this is an opportunity that Vahid and his colleagues from CV looked at ways in which they could approach the topic and share the knowledge with the wider community in this virtual space. Some snapshots and some results of some of the workshops that went on, and examples of that and opportunities that they could share and how that could be applied. Then the third session, fantastic session. This was, as I say, colleagues from our Faculty of Arts, Design and Media. It was working with alumni, it was working with academics. I better speed up. It was working with academics both in Hong Kong, and it was working with industry as well. So ways in which we could connect, collaborate. Really fantastic opportunity to listen to stories about student experience, staff experience, and ways in which they could collaborate in the future. Again, some snapshots, different ways in which they shared that knowledge through interview clips, panel guest responses, and a reflective audience practice. I love the fact that Bruce Padgett, who's one of our link tutors in Hong Kong and also in Malaysia with one of our Malaysian partner institutes, he described the the way in which he taught a student and more mature students with a science-based background, and it was wonderful to work with that person in a sort of arts, working on an arts degree, so that was very exciting. Again, some fantastic shots of, I love Hong Kong, I've been there 20 plus times, amazing immersive experience on different ways in working in the classroom. So some of the feedback that we got from the British Council, there were many proposals, lots of ways in which we could develop this. I think the purpose of this, I'm trying to look at ways in which we could reach out with our international communities, our STEAM communities, and working across faculties. We've got 10 schools within our Faculty of Arts, Design and Media. I think we have 2 in the built environment, computer engineering. We have 3, I think, in BLSS, and I'm losing track, but there's lots of ways in which we could work. So you can see some of the participants there, and the useful demographic feedback that we've received, and some of the feedback that we had from participants, both from the arts and from the education sort of environment. These are just some of the ways in which some of the projects and the diversity and inclusive nature of some of the projects working with educators and creatives. And again, some of the participants that were involved, and here we are with educators, but you do get crossovers with artists. I'm a designer, I was 25 years in practice, and I've been in education for a number of years. So I think it's important that there aren't any boundaries, basically. So just quickly, I'm going to gloss over this because this is some of the feedback I provided, and also my wonderful colleague Simon Handy, which I think has moved on as well, about why we do these things, why we want to collaborate with academics, both internal and external stakeholders. And I think more importantly, it's providing opportunities for our academics, our colleagues. And again, we've got this about feedback from Nick, this initial feedback. More will be included in the paper, the final paper, and also from John Priscillo, who is a link tutor for our continuous professional education provider. So last slide, you'll be pleased to know. So there is another opportunity for the SPARK Festival with the British Council in 2024, and this is, I suppose, a call to work with the sort of community. Hong Kong is just one example of ways in which we can participate with our faculties and with our internal and external stakeholders. We deal with practitioners in the various countries. Many of us are in industry as well. So it's looking at ways in which fostering there's opportunities to foster creative partnerships through innovation, experimentation. So basically the STEAM principles.